Okay, so first of all, hello everyone. I welcome you all to this JavaScript roadmap event. Okay, so this is a second event as part of the JavaScript roadmap that we are following. Okay, so we have already covered the basics of JavaScript before in our chapter itself. So those of you who are interested, you can go and check out our chapter page. I'll show you in a bit. So every recording and every presentation code files, I've given all of their links, so you can visit that soon. So before starting, let's have a quick introduction about each other. So myself, Ashwin Bharat, I'm a final year undergraduate student from JNU University Bangalore, and I'm a web developer, I'm a community leader, and I'm a blogger. So that's why I've started this initiative to teach others technologies related to web development. So why don't you all introduce yourself? You can use your chat or your mic. Okay, so yeah, we have Yadantal. He has already joined early. So those of you who don't know, he's a full stack web development student from Israel. So I welcome you here, Yadan. And yeah, so let me share the screen. Okay, and I'll show you the previous event, how it went well. Okay, so this is our chapter page. Okay, so JNU University JU Chapter. So we have a Discord community, we have a WhatsApp community as well. So these are the upcoming events, so you can go and check it out. We have already covered front end technologies as well as JavaScript basics. As you can see, we are also having a monthly meetup as well as our book club, which is actually where we choose one book per month to read and talk about what we learned with each other. So it is like completely non-technical. So let me share our previous event, which is this JavaScript roadmap, which is basics event. So you can find the recordings, all of it, in our community chapter page itself. As you can see the screenshots, all of the files, anything that's related to that previous chapter, including the presentation as well, as you can see. So we have covered what is JavaScript, the history of it, and these are the topics we have previously covered: the variables, data types, control flow, operators, and functions as well. So in our last event, our aim was to talk about the basic programming concepts that was related to JavaScript, right? And in the previous event, we weren't building any websites or which was related to HTML or CSS. It was completely detached to what we were doing previously, right? So this event is quite different. Okay, so this is entirely going to change how we are going to perceive it, right? So let's start our second event. So before we start, okay, so we have a Venkatesh. Hello Venkatesh. And Ashish is a third semester civil engineering student. That's good. I can see you are from other branch but still interested in technology. I really appreciate it. Okay, so those of you who have joined recently, you can introduce yourself either using your mic or the chat section. So we have Kuldeep Kumar. He's also from third semester from the same college, I guess. So I welcome you all, guys. Good. Okay, so how many of you are good with the basics? Just the basics of programming, or do you know the basics of JavaScript or any other language? Which language are you comfortable with? Okay, hello Parsha. Okay, he's also from third semester. Cool. So we have a lot of second year students over here. That's great. Okay, we have Nitish. He's also our core member of the chapter. He's from IoT second year. Great. Okay, Yarden knows basics of JS and Python. That's good. partitioners, Java and Python basics. Good. So why I'm asking this question is because the basics of the programming, right? The essence that what we have, the control flow, the data types, all these basic concepts not just apply for one programming language like Java or Python, it also applies for JavaScript as well, right? So when you are trying to learn a new language, when you have already learned one, it's going to be very easy for you to understand JavaScript. Okay, so cool. So previously this is what we have covered: variables, data types, control flow, the basics of a programming language itself with JavaScript. So today's our agenda is to cover the DOM. What is DOM? And we are going to see what is the real power of JavaScript, right? So why I'm comparing this even with the previous one is because we were just discussing about the programming concepts itself, whereas over here we are going to use JavaScript in a way which is going to be connected with the front-end web development, right? With the web development itself. How is JavaScript manipulating the website that we have right now? Okay, so we will be using DOM selectors as well as the DOM events, and I'll be showing you two simple basic projects. I will be trying to kind of explain each and every line. I won't be able to code it live to you, but I will be definitely explaining it in detail so that you can understand how each and everything sits together in a project. Okay, so what is DOM? Okay, so DOM is nothing but what we call as document object model in JavaScript. Okay, so DOM is actually how it is related to how the browser is going to handle the project that we paste. For example, let's say you are building a front-end project or just any web development project. You'll be having HTML, you'll be having CSS and JavaScript files, right? So you'll be storing them, and the browser is the place where the project is going to be rendered, right? That's where it's going to be displayed. The HTML will display the structure, the CSS will display all of the styling as well, right? So this DOM is actually a document object model behind this browser. What it will do, so it will kind of have a tree like structure, and whatever we pass in we pass in as the HTML file, right? So at the end of the day, when we try to give multiple files, it is all going to get compiled into one single file. Okay, I will be showing it to you live as well, how a project how a website is going to look like when the browser is rendering it, right? So when this happens in this browser, it will kind of have this model of having a tree like structure where the topmost element is the document. Okay, and moving on, we also have root element, which is the HTML tag that we use in the HTML files, right? Followed by the head tag, the body tag. So as you can see in this picture, the HTML, the head, the body, it's kind of divided into a neatly structured way, right? So this is how the browser actually kind of interprets what we write. Okay, this is how it interprets. So that's why learning how what is DOM and how you can manipulate it gives the power of gives you the power of changing the websites the way you want. Okay, so those of you who are having laptops, I will highly recommend you can open it up. You can open up your favorite code editors, or you can even try online editors like REPL.it. Okay, this I'll be sharing. Let me share the website link as well. Okay, yeah, so you can use this either this website, or you can use your code editor like VS Code, or whichever one you like, Sublime Text or not. So I'll be using both VS Code as well as the Google Chrome developer tools. So what you have to do is you have to kind of open up the Google Chrome page, and what you can do is you can open up Control Shift J, which will kind of open up the the developer console. Okay, so we'll be having developer tools in Google Chrome, which we can use, which we'll be using lively, so that we can understand all of the aspects real time, side by side. So let me share the screen as well, just a second. So as you can see, I have opened up the Google Chrome google.com web page. So you can either right click and go to inspect, which will also open the developer tools. I think you won't be able to see this, just a second. Let me share it again. Yeah, I hope this is visible. Nitish, can you see the screen?
Yeah, it's visible, bro.
Great. So as you can see, I have opened up the console. You can either use the three dots over here at the top right corner and go to more tools and developer tools, Control Shift I, which will open actually the it is either the console or the elements tab of developer tools, or you can press Control Shift J. Okay, so before you move on to the console, as you can see, this entire Google web page that you can see, right, this entire Google web page, this is this will have multiple files, right? They might have the Google developers would have created a HTML page, multiple HTML files, CSS files, and all of this will be compiled into one single file. That's how the the browser renders it, as you can see over here. So all of those details that is present in this Google web search engine, you can kind of see how each of them, right, this neat highlighting stuff that this developer tools gives. So you can see this is how the browser actually kind of has this levels that we have in the DOM tree. Okay, so we'll be going to the console. Okay, and I'll be typing document. So those who are having a laptop, you can try this too. When I type document, as you can see, when I press this, we have this blue highlighting, right? So we can say the document is nothing but the entire screen that we have in front of us in a browser. Okay, and the entire screen that we have. And as you can see, document is actually like how while we are discussing, we said document object model, right? So this word document is actually a object that is present inside this browser. Okay, it is an object. As you can see, this object will include every tags that we provided when the website is complete. Okay, so this is how the browser is using. Okay, so as we those of you who are not aware about JavaScript objects, so an object is in JavaScript is like a hash map or hash table. It's a key value pair, and that's how we can store data in JavaScript in the form of objects. Okay, so whatever we're going to do today, we are going to we'll be using this this document object for manipulating the browser, the objects, whatever the project that we have, right? So we'll be using a lot of DOM selectors as well as DOM events, which will perform the real world tasks that we see in projects, in our day-to-day projects, day-to-day websites that we visit. Okay, so let me share the presentation again. Okay, so the real power of JavaScript, that as I was discussing, with the DOM manipulation, this concept, what we can do with the JavaScript is we can change the HTML elements that we have, the HTML attributes and CSS styles that we have, right? So any front-end web development project that we build will be having a HTML page, will be having a CSS files, right? So each and every file that we have will have these elements, right? So HTML elements can be a header tag, a paragraph tag. So these tags that we have, these elements, we call the entire whatever the content that we have, no? For example, so as you can see, this head, that angular bracket with the head is actually the tag, but this entire from starting till this closing tag, whatever is inside this is what we call as element. Okay, so this entire piece of code is nothing but the HTML element. Okay, so HTML attributes are nothing but whatever we can give it and give the let's say, for example, those of you who have learned front-end development, you might have seen CSS stylings, right? There are 3 types of CSS styling: inline and external, and after that creating it as a separate file. So whenever we are trying to give this inline stylings, we'll be using attributes. We'll be giving a value equal to and another attribute equal to value, which will be inside quotes, right? So we can change that attributes. We can change this CSS styles that we have in our project with the help of JavaScript. Okay, and we can also add as well as remove HTML elements and the attributes as well. Okay, and with DOM events that we have, event handlers, we call it as event handlers. Okay, so these DOM events that we have, we can manipulate that using JavaScript. Okay, sorry, yeah. So we can do that with JavaScript. Okay, so that's what we are going to see now. So now we are completely moving on to the coding section. Okay, so we'll be focusing on 2 projects, which is a static to-do application. It is static because we won't be saving it in a database or using backend at all, just the front end, just HTML, CSS and JavaScript. And I will also be showing you an interesting project called background generator. Okay, so when I was a student learning web development, these are the 2 projects I have built through tutorials and courses, right? So these are really good examples of how you can manipulate DOM. Okay, so I'll be teaching you that. So before we move on, so those of you who have laptops, you can either use REPL to create to open up any online editors, or you can use VS Code or Sublime Text. So let's have a 5 minutes break time so that you can keep your development environment ready. Okay, and then I'll be starting the coding session as well. Okay, so be ready with your laptops. So I'll give you our 5 minutes and let's start coding. Okay, Okay, so all set. Have you opened up your laptops? I think Nitish is ready. Cool. Okay. Okay. So, Nitish, can I have a confirmation? Is the screen visible? The code editor.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Great. So, uh, as you can see, this is a basic HTML project that I've created. Okay. So, nothing too complex. Just a bunch of HTML tags, head tags. These are just meta tags, and so what I've created is like a simple to do list kind of HTML this one. Okay, and I've used the paragraph tags and the list items so that I can show you guys how we can manipulate the DOM. Okay, so as you can see, these are the attributes that I was talking about. Even from the HTML tag, this lang stands for language, and we are setting it to English. Okay, so whenever our search engine Google tries to, if we deploy it, so it will check for languages and all. Okay, so and this is how Google kind of gets that. So each and every light blue shade that we have in this code editor, right? So these are all nothing but attributes. So these can be manipulated, and even this entire element. So this is a tag, but this entire line is called an element. Okay, so this element, this tag, whatever you can see over here right in front of us, these all can be manipulated with our JavaScript. Okay, so this is pretty simple. Okay, so I'll be showing you the deployed version in my browser. This is just and I will be also using the console, as I've discussed with you before. In Google Chrome we have this developer settings, right? So those who want to copy this code, you can copy this. I'll be, let me share it again, just a second. Okay, so Nitish, both the browser and Visual Studio Code is visible, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, great. So as you can see over the left part, we have the HTML HTML file which is going to be displayed with, in Google Chrome. So we have a simple header tag, h1 tag, and paragraph with list items, right? So we are going to manipulate this with JavaScript. So those who want to copy this code, you can copy it. I'll be also sharing it later as well. Okay, so I'm going to use command line, this console over here, and I'll be coming back with the document, right? So using this document, what we can do is we can use a couple of DOM selectors. Okay, so I'll be sharing with you the most used ones. Okay, the first one is get element by class, by tag name. Okay, so get element by tag name will be accepting an argument inside quotations, which will be any tag that we were discussing. Okay, it can be h1, it can be heading, paragraph, list items. So let me give you h1. So if I okay, just a second. Okay. Oh, just a second, guys. Okay, so as you can see, get elements by tag name. So this is how I'm going to show this. Okay, so let me press enter. As you can see, when I do document.get elements by tag name, so what will happen is, yeah, so if someone was saying something. Okay, cool. If you have any doubts, you can use your mic or chat, guys. Okay, so let me, where is the code? Okay, I'll be showing you the code again, just a second.
Bro, will we be using style or CSS or not?
We'll be using it. I'll show you how we can use that style sheet with JavaScript and all. Okay, so I'll just show you just a second. Okay, cool. Okay, so you can see the screen, right? So as you can see, when I use document.get elements by tag name, so what we get is the HTML collection. Okay, so as you can see, when I click this, when I move this cursor to h1, it highlights the heading tag, right? h1 tag. So this is how we can get the tags in JavaScript using document object. Okay, so I'll be showing the next selector, which is document dot get element by class name. Okay, so I'll come back to the code. So as you are asking, right? So I'll show you the code. Okay, cool. So these are the comments. You can ignore it for now. And yeah. Okay, so as you can see, we have a couple of classes over here, right? So as you can see, for this paragraph, which has the text no excuses, I have given a class called class attribute with a value called second, right? So if I want to select this class name, okay, document by getting this element, I'll be using this document.get element by class name function. Okay, and I'll be passing it let's say second. So the value of class name was second, right? So this okay, just a second. Okay, so get documents dot get elements by as a class name. Okay, so you have to be very careful with the plural that we have here, because JavaScript is case sensitive, right? So just yes should be there in both of the code snippets. So yeah, so as you can see, it has also written the paragraph tag. If I press this p.second, it is showing the dot second because this is how we style it in style sheet, right? So whenever we want to give a styles to class names, we'll be using dot, and for id and all we'll be using hashtags, right? So this is how we select elements using the selectors that we have using document object. Okay, so the third type that we can use is document.getElement by id. Okay, so if we go back to this code, as you can over here in this elements tag, we can actually see the code directly on the browser itself, right? So over here, as you can see, we have an id for the first paragraph and then class for second paragraph. Let's try to get this id. Okay, so to get that id tag and all, we will be using getElement by id, right? So at the end of the day, as you can see, these three functions are getting the elements only. The only difference is by what we are using getting that. The first example uses tag name, which is h1, and the second example we will be using by class name, and the third one using the id. Now one difference over here, I have not used yes over here. Can anyone tell me why I'm using yes in the first two examples and not in the third one, not for the id? Does anyone have any idea, any clue, any suggestion, any guess? It is something related to id. So those of you who have covered the HTML basics, those of you are aware of it. Does any of you remember why we use why classes and id are different? Why there's a difference between class and id? It's because we cannot use multiple IDs which are having the same name, right? So id is unique to the elements. You can use the same classes for every other elements, but only one id can exist in an entire HTML project. Okay, that's why over here we are using getElement by id, not elements by id. Okay, this is singular, and these first two examples are plural. Okay, so as you can see, if I use this in this code, as you can see, I've given the id as first for the paragraph tag. Okay, so I got the tag itself. See, can you see this? I got this tag neatly instead of the HTML collection, kind of weird way how the first two selectors gave the output. In the third example, I got the entire tag itself, the entire code itself, right? So this is how we can get elements. Okay, so this is like accessing whatever the code was there in HTML using JavaScript. Okay, so these are the three main selectors that we use in our day-to-day web development projects. Okay, but this is not kind of right, it is kind of very big lengthy process. As you can see, there are a lot of unwanted things over here, and all. We don't need that. We only need the direct, what is the content inside that, right? Whatever is visible, only we want to change that, right? So what we'll be using apart from this is query selector. So this is also a recommended approach in any HTML projects. So if I use query selector, so this is also an DOM selectors. Okay, if I use query selector, okay, just a second, we get an error. Okay, no, cool. So let's say we want to select the heading tag again, but using this query selector, as you can see, the difference is we get the tag directly. Can you see this? Before we were when you are getting the element by id, we got the same output as similar to query selector, right? So we get the tag directly. So if we want to manipulate the HTML project, we want code like this, right? Using JavaScript, if you want code like, if you get code like this, we can manipulate it easily. So that's when we will be using query selector. Okay, let's try it for other tags as well. Okay, let's try it for p tag. What do we get in p tag? As you can see, we got the first paragraph tag directly as the output, right? But we have two paragraph tag. If you can notice, get it done today and no excuse are two different tags, two different paragraph tags. As you can see, this is the first paragraph, this is second paragraph, right? But we are getting on the first one. Why it's so? Why is that? it's because query selector will only get the first matching tag that we give it. Okay, so in order to get all of the queries, the elements that we have in our web page, what we can do is we can give query selector all. Okay, so if we do that, what we get is actually an array of elements. As you can see, the first one gave us the first paragraph, first paragraph element, and the second one gave the second paragraph element, and this hashtag is nothing but that id only. So hashtag first because it's the id value is first, and the dot second is because the class name is given as second. Okay, so if we want to access it, we can access it how we access array elements directly in any other languages. Okay, so if I give the square bracket notation of 0, we get the first one. Okay, so if we try to get the if you want to try the second one, we do bracket notation of 1 as well. So as you can see, it is very easy to kind of get what the all of the tags that we have just using query selector all, right? And it is returning as an array, which is also easy to access, as you can see, right? And we so most of you will be aware about the array. What is an array, right? So array is like a group of similar elements that we will be storing in memory, and we will be using zero indexing, right? The first element is having an index 0 and 1 and 2 and so on, right? So that's why, as you can see, when I used 0 with bracket notation, I got the first tag, and when I used 1, I got the second tag. Okay, although whenever we are trying to do this in JavaScript, right, we'll be using the var keyword, right, and we'll be using, let's say, an paragraph tags. Let's say I'm creating variable and I'm storing the document dot query selector all. Okay, query selector all, and I'm storing it inside this paragraph tags variable. So the benefit is, so whenever you are using inside this inside these concepts inside a JavaScript file or in your project, so it is very easy to use paragraph tag directly, and what we did before, we can do it directly over here as well. See, so this is more readable, right? This is more readable. We can use indexing like this, and we can get the tags and all. So this is how we access the HTML code snippets that we have using DOM selectors. Okay, cool. Now let's try to kind of use this for other one as well. Okay, just a second. Okay, cool. So let's get the query selector all, and let's say we want to get all of the list elements that we have over here, right? So as you can see, we have 4 list elements, right? So if we try to access those, what we'll get? We'll get the list of 4 elements. As you can see, it is highlighted by a blue, right? So let's say if I am storing this inside list element, okay, list items, a variable called list items, and I am going to store all of these query selector all. Sorry, just a second. And I am using the li as the argument. So as you can see, okay, I didn't do query select query all. Okay, my mistake. Okay, and let's say I access the third element. What is the third index? It will be the last value, right? So if I get that, as you can see, we got the last element itself. So this is how we use DOM selectors that we have in our project, and we can use it. Okay, so I'm using developer console over here, right? So whenever I'm directly using any of these code and all, it is kind of giving me an output, interactive output. Okay, so this is like a special feature by Google Chrome, which is provided by us. But whenever you want to add JavaScript in your project, right? So let me show you how you can do that by sharing my Visual Studio Code. Okay, so those of you who are get unable to kind of do the coding, you can, I'll be sharing the code files as well, you can do it later. So whenever you are using this, whatever we use till now, as you can see, there are a couple of other examples as well. So we can use console.log so that it will be giving us an output in the Google Chrome itself, but in a JavaScript file. Okay, this is how we can include this. And let me add the script file in our HTML project as well. So I've saved this inside this DOM. Okay, so DOM JavaScript project. So if you go over back to the project window that we opened, right? So those of you who want to check out the how code works in your own this one, you can save it in this way in JavaScript files. Okay, you can save it in this way, and let me reshare it. Reshare. Okay, let me reshare the window. So as you can see, whatever the output that we get after console.log, it is directly now it is printed out. Let me refresh it and show you. So the entire set of examples of console logged directly over here. So you are using your own project, right? So this is how you will get the output, right? The same set of examples but with a little more ways I've given over here. Okay, so this is how we can use DOM selectors. Okay, so this is about the first part of the DOM manipulation tutorial. Okay, so till now, does any of you have any doubts? Is the concepts clear? You can either use your mic or chat. So anyone have any doubts till now? Are you clear with the topics?
Bro, can we change that options that you have inputted like in the to-do list, or is it for the permanent?
Okay, so you are asking about the project, right? So in our project that we are going to use, we'll be adding new elements, but we want to be able to change it. Okay, so that will be more complex. We need more JavaScript concepts for that. We can do it in the future events as well, but as of now, today we'll be adding new elements. Okay, we'll be covering how we'll be adding new elements. I'll be showing you that, but till now we have covered the DOM selectors, right? So do you have any doubts over there from DOM selectors? Is the concepts clear?
No, no, bro. No.
Oh, hello.
We can move ahead.
Okay, so others. Okay, cool. So okay, so let me show you the next part, which is DOM events. Okay, so before moving on, I'll quickly add some of the code as well. Okay, the screen is visible, right? Okay, cool. Okay, so let me add a few more code to this point so that you can make this to-do app more and more neat. Okay, so yeah, so I'll be using that, which is DOM events, and in this events, let me uncomment it. Okay, I've added a button over here. Okay, I think it will be visible right now. Okay, so as you can see, I've added a button, an enter button over here. Okay, so we'll be using that for understanding DOM events that we have. So okay, so the first line of code is what I'm using over here is I'm getting the button that I have. Okay, as you can see, the button element that I have, I'm grabbing that using this document query dot get elements by tag name query selector, and I'm using the array notation so that I'll get the entire tag neatly over here. Okay, and I'm storing it inside a variable called button. Okay, so what I'm going to do is with this one, I'm going to introduce a DOM event inside this. Okay, so DOM events can be added using a function called add event listener. Okay, so add event listener is nothing but it will listen to an event. Okay, an event is nothing but a user who is trying to access the elements that is present in the visible screen. Okay, so this is going to the first argument is the event, what type of event we are going to give, and as you can see, it is a click event, and the next argument is actually a function which is the functionality that we want to perform based on the event. Okay, so so this event, what it will do, whenever I click the button, so it will console log the this output in the console. Okay, so if I show it to you, if I let me refresh it and let me clear it as of now. Okay, so if you can watch my cursor carefully, when I press this enter, when I click it, as you can see, the number is increasing over here. Can you see this? Whenever I click it, the DOM event, what it does, it will output the given string that we have over here using this console.log. Hello?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, your screen is not visible, sir.
Okay, just a second. Can't you see the browser over here?
No, it is visible.
Visible?
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Okay, just a second. I stopped sharing it. I will start it again. So can you guys understand what I'm trying? This code till now, are you guys clear? I'm grabbing the button element, okay, using this DOM selector, okay, and I'm adding an event listener. Okay, this is a DOM event, and whenever I click it, as you saw, I'll do it. Whenever I click it, the console.log, just a second, just logging the previous outputs and all. So whenever I click it, as you can see, the number is increasing over here. So this is how we can add the DOM events in the JavaScript files. Okay, so let me uncomment the previous script so that our console is neat. So yeah, someone is joining you. Just a second. Okay, cool. So okay, so the next event that we can add is let me comment this one. So the first event was this click event. Okay, so whenever we click the button, this function will be executed. So okay, that's as simple as that. So I'm this button dot, whenever I'm using this event listeners and all, I'll be using it with the element that we got using the get elements by tag name. So using the selectors, what we are doing, we are storing the element in the button, in the variable button, and I'm directly it to the event listener. Okay, this is how we add the event listeners in JavaScript. Okay, so the next event I'm going to put is mouse enter. Okay, mouse enter, what it will do, whenever as you can see this cursor, whenever I'm going near the button, right, this project, it will log a message as click. Okay, instead of click, let me put it as mouse and the mouse pointer, just enter. Let me put a descriptive output. Okay, so in real time you will be seeing this in the browser when I'm going taking my cursor. So watch carefully. When I get this mouse cursor over here, as you can see, it is increasing, right? I'm going in and out. I'm getting the cursor near to that button, I'm coming out. As you can see, the number is increasing, right? So in Google Chrome, what it does, the output won't be the same output won't be repeated. Instead, it will be shown as the number of times it is given. Okay, let me refresh. So if I do this again, as you can see, the mouse pointer just enter. So this is how the mouse enter event works. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, which is mouse leave. Okay, as you can see, the same all of this event listeners, this is the first event listener, this is the second event listener, right? So there are a lot of event listeners that you can use in your project as well. So I will encourage you all to Google it and learn more on your own. Okay, so these are the main main examples that I'm having, so that you guys can understand. Okay, so let me put another descriptive message at the mouse pointer just left. Okay, so if I do this, and let me refresh it. So as you can see, it is refreshing lively. So I have gone inside this button, I'm coming out. See the log over here, the number is increasing, right? When I go and come out, it is 6 now, it is 7 now, it is 8 now. Okay, so this is how listeners works in JavaScript. Okay, so let me use all of the event listeners. Okay, I'll show you. If we click, it will kind of give a message, but we enter, and if we leave, you can use multiple events at the same time. So it will be the console will be going very crazy. Okay, so first message will be the mouse just entered. Now I'm pressing it, I'm leaving it. Okay, so if I'm just entered and left, as you can see, without pressing it, as you can see, the console goes crazy, right? So this is how powerful it can be. Okay, so if I just keep on click it, the number gets increased, and if I, as you can see, for each and every event, it is kind of logging the message, right? So this is how we are going to use DOM events and all in our projects. Okay, cool. So
Hello, bro.
yes,
Is
Nitish.
that click also available for the Google Ads?
Which one are you telling? Can you come again?
I mean,
Nitish?
like, can the click happen itself when we move the cursor on the Google Ads? Is it possible
Google
for the
Ads,
Google Ads?
yeah, of course, everything is part of the document, right? So when do you remember the document tree I was showing you? Let me show it again.
Which, bro?
Document event that we had previously in the slideshow.
Okay.
Let me show it to you again. It's a good question actually. So whenever you go into different websites, right? Will the ad will be same? Will the ad will be displayed on the same tab or different parts of this one? Have you noticed carefully? Whenever we visit, ads will be shown in different places, right?
Yeah, it will be redirected to a different page, like new tab.
Redirected, I get it. But each and every website you displayed at the bottom or at the right or the left, right? Have you noticed it at different points of spaces?
Yes, bro.
Yeah. See, okay. So that's how the JavaScript works actually. Okay. So if, for example, if you have visited Geeks for Geeks website, filled with a lot of ads commercials, right? So and for every minute it will be changing. Have you noticed it? For every minute it will be changing, keep on changing. So that's also an event only. That's also a DOM event only. As you can see in this DOM tree, so there's a there's a HTML5 standard, okay, in which what they will be doing is there will be a separate tag called aside, okay. What it means is the highest ranked website in Google search engine, they will be displaying ads neatly over to the left side or the right side and with descriptive HTML tags, okay. So what this will give is, it will give this DOM tree a good idea about where is what elements, okay. The separation of these spaces that you asked, right? And whenever, for every 5 to 10 minutes, it keeps on changing, because Google, what they give that JavaScript SDK actually, okay. So they are using this selectors and DOM events behind the screen. So whenever we press it, it will go redirect to the new page, right? So that's also a DOM event, okay. So there are many examples. You can discover about it later as well, okay. So moving on, we are going to do, we are going to create a static to do application, okay. So in this to do application, what it will do, it will kind of we can add some new list items, okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put some text area buttons and all. So let me share the screen again, just a second. Okay. Let me reshare it again, guys. I'll be showing you the code editor. Okay. So can you see the Visual Studio Code editor? Yeah, which is visible. Okay. And Nitish, is it?
No, bro, not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's loading.
Yeah,
Just a second.
yeah, it is.
Cool. Okay. So I've added another another element, which is input element. So in this input element, I've given some couple of attributes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get elements, okay. So I'm going to add a list items into this. So previously I gave a hard coded some 4 values, as you can see over here. Complete course, this is like a to do app, to do list that I have personally added, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add new elements using this DOM elements, okay. I'm going to prove it to you how JavaScript is powerful, okay. So I have use some code over here, okay, and I'll be kind of explaining each and every line by line what it is happening over here, okay. So don't need to worry. So the first 3 lines, as you can see, these were the DOM selectors that we discussed. You guys remember? The first one is get element by ID, right? So what it will do, just like we discussed, as you can see, whichever element has the ID enter. So the enter is given to the button that we had in the website, right? So this enter, what it will do, it will grab that element, entire element itself, and it is storing it in variable. So as you can see, this entire element is stored inside this variable button. So that's what we are doing here, using DOM selectors and grabbing button element over here. And for the input element also, what I have did, I've added the ID and all, user input, and I'm grabbing that user input by using get element ID function, and I'm storing it in the input variable. Similarly for the UL tag as well. UL is nothing but unordered list tag, okay. So I'm getting that using query selector, and I'm passing the UL, okay. We can also use get element by ID or class name over here, but as we don't have anything specified, so what we can do, we can directly use query selector, which will only require the name of the tag. So this is the first 3 lines, okay. So moving on, I've used, as you can see, four functions, four JavaScript functions to perform different actions, and let me tell you every about that. So those of you who are new to this JavaScript syntax, you can check out the previous event as well, JavaScript roadmap 1, excuse me. Okay, so in that I've covered the basics and all. Okay, you can check it in the chapter page. So moving on, as you can see, the first function is nothing but it is returning the input length. Input is nothing but whatever, if we type the type something inside this tag and all. So let me show you this one as well so that you can understand. So let me share the entire screen itself, so that whenever I'm changing the browser and code editor, you guys can see that. Give me just a second. Sorry for resharing it multiple times, because it's just participants were coming in, so that I can admit everyone. So Nitesh, is it visible? Can I have a confirmation quickly?
Yes, bro.
Cool. So as you can see, there are the input tag, right? So as you can see, if I type something, we can use it to give inputs, right? So this is the input element, and this is the button that we have given, right? So now if I go back to the code, so the input dot value, so whatever input is the variable which is storing the element, right? So this element, what it does is it has multiple properties. Okay, so whatever we type, let's say I want to take a walk. Let's say this is something that I'm going to add inside this list, means the length of this list. I want the length of this list so that I can manipulate it. Okay, so for that, what I'm doing, I'm using the input dot value property inside this input variable that I have used over here, and I'm using dot length. Okay, so these two are nothing but properties of the HTML elements that we have, so that we can access the length. Okay, so it is simply returning it. That's the function. The functionality of this piece of code is it is returning the input length. That's all. Okay, so moving on, create list item. Okay, so as I discussed previously, we can also create elements using JavaScript.DOM manipulation. Okay, so this is another new concept. I'll tell you each and everything. Okay, over here. So in JavaScript, you can create element using this document.create element. Okay, so whatever you are trying to do with respect to DOM manipulation, right, you will be using this DOM document object actually. This is because as you can see, if you guys can see this tree over here, right? So this tree, if you want to add anything inside this tree, we have to use this. We have to access the topmost node, as you can see, so that we are adding the element inside this document itself. Otherwise, it is not going to add it, right? So that's how we are creating this element. Okay, there's a function called create element. Inside this, we are passing the type of tag we are going to create. Okay, in this I am passing a list li as the argument, because if you can remember, I want this to be added as a list item inside this to do list. Okay, so that's how it will function as to do list, right? So I'm creating a list element using this line, and I'm storing it in the li variable. Okay, now what I'm going to do is that I'm creating this new element, and I'm going to kind of add the input value, whatever we get it, whatever we are going to type it inside this input value, right? So we are going to add the input value inside this list element using append child. Okay, so append child is nothing but another function which will append this piece of code that we are giving. Okay, append child is nothing but the parent and child. If you guys have learned about data structures, the parent child relationship that we have, right, in trees and in other data structures. So that's how they have given the function name. Okay, with a descriptive function name. And what we are going to do, we are creating a text node. Okay, a text node is nothing but the the value that we are giving over here. So this is a text node. in this list items, this is a text node, this is a text node, this read atomic habits, learn DevOps, this is all the text nodes. Okay, so we are kind of creating this list item itself, right? So if we want to create this list item, this is the entire process that is happening behind the screen, right? We are creating the element, we are adding the input value that we are getting using this input variable, because we are grabbing it from the HTML, and we are appending this to the unordered list. As you can see, we grab this UL tag, right? So we are appending the new list item inside this UL. Okay, and we are resetting the input value to empty string. I'll tell you why we are doing this. Okay, I'll show it to you soon. Okay, so if I press enter, what it will do, as you can see, it is adding the new list. Okay, and let me add. Okay, so let's say I'm adding another function, as you can see. So these two elements are added in real time in the browser itself. Okay, but if I refresh it, it won't save it. Okay, if I refresh it, it won't save it. It is because this project is static. Okay, we are only changing values in the real time. Okay, and this is happening like this because we are not using any database or any server that in the backend. Okay, so that's why whenever I refresh it, it will go away. Okay, so that's why I've set it as static. Okay, so if going back to the code, this line, if I don't reset the value, can you guess what will happen? Let's say I'm going to comment this out. Okay, I'm going to put this on. Can any of you guess what will happen if I try to put two different values? Say first one was take a walk. Okay, when I put this as this, and as you can see, the value is still remaining in this input tag, right? Can you guys see this? This is not going to this is not vanishing, but generally as a user we would like to just get this. I don't want this to do backspace every time, right? I want to add, let's say I want to read a book. If I type this and press the enter button, I want this to be disappeared, right? That's how what a user wants. So for this reason only, what I'm going to do, I'm putting the input value, resetting it to an empty string. Okay, so this will directly kind of manipulate this input tag, and it will reset to the string. Okay, so after this, the other two functions that we have over here. Okay, this is nothing but the add list after take. Okay, so if we want, till now what we have created is we have created the to return the input length and to create a list item. Okay, a list item and the list, and then resetting it. What you are going to do over here is what is happening in real time. Okay, so what happens is when the input length is greater than 0, as you can see, we are getting this input length. If we are checking whether the input length is greater than 0, right? Only then it is going to create a list item. Okay, and as you can see, the next function is add list after key press. Key press means, so if I try to type it and press enter button that I have in the keyboard, it will kind of create the list as well. Okay, so these two functions, this is how it works. And to this button that I have, that a button that we have over here, right? So when I was demonstrating to you, and let's say I'm typing it, right, take a walk, and pressing it, so I have what I've did is I've added two event listeners, which is nothing but these two functions only, and that's how it is adding it to the list in real time. Okay, so the first one is click event and the next one is key press. I'll tell you what is key press soon, and for this, both of this I'm passing in these two functions. Okay, just like we did before. As you can see, this is console.log, and like this is how it is. We are adding the DOM, our own DOM events. These two are nothing but our own functions, right? So it is like kind of creating our own DOM events. Okay, so this key press is nothing but this key press event is nothing but if I type take a walk. Okay, if I type take a walk, and I'm not going to use this button, instead I'm going to use the keyboard enter button. Enter, just a second, I think it's okay. me refresh it. So when I try to enter, maybe not working. Okay, I've given or okay, cool. Okay, so this event dot what we have over here, right? So this key code is nothing but whenever I want to press enter and save it, right? So I'll, as you can see, this character codes that we have in JavaScript, if you can research more about it, you can get it. So if I press enter in our keyboard, enter, there's a code called 13. Okay, so what I'm doing in this code, I'm checking whether the event dot key code is 13 or not. So if it is 13, what it will do, it will kind of create the list. So you can either using or key press. Okay, so that's why I've given this. I think it's not working as of now, but you guys can try it out later. Okay, so this is how the basic project works. This is the first project, and it is kind of a static to-do list only. So as we are not using a server, if I refresh it, this take a walk will actually kind of disappear. Okay, so this is how this is the first project that we have built now. So do any one of you have any doubts till now? Anything related to the JavaScript DOM test? Anyone?
Bro, what we have to do, like if we have to add one like subject or the topic inside the to-do list?
Okay, you want to add another list item?
I mean, I just wanted to add like topic in the atomic habits. Yeah,
Okay.
I just want to add like one topic in the atomic habits. Then do I need
Oh,
to
you mean
add
like
another
subtopic,
function for it
like
or
a
what?
sub list inside this read itself? You want to add another
Yeah,
item like that? Are you telling?
yeah,
Okay, let me try to do that
yeah.
in front of you. Okay, cool. That's a. So what you can do in that case? Okay, read atomic habits.
Is it possible inside the same function, or we have to create another one?
We can actually change the function itself, but it will be so. Whenever we are adding new items and all, no, it will kind of always it will go inside this read atomic habits only. Okay, let me demonstrate to you. Okay, it's a good thought that you have. So let me create another function. Okay, just to show that, put it inside the atomic habits thing. So if we want to grab this third one, as you can see, everything is kind of same, right? So I'm going to put some attribute, let's say, and let's say some random attribute, and I'm going to put this as, okay, let me put an ID, okay, so that it is easy to grab. Let me put it as read. Okay, so if I want to grab this element particularly, what I will be doing, what I'll be using is select document.getElement by ID, right? So I'll be using this code instead of what I did was previously. So here, okay, so cool. Okay, now the process will be same. The list item will be created, and when we'll be appending it, okay, now, okay, so in order to put it as sub list, this has to be an unordered list again. It is okay. Inside this we should have another sub list. So let me put it like this instead of because if we are putting an if we are appending to this list item, it won't work actually. We have to put it otherwise. Let me put it this way. Let me give the ID to this one. Okay, if I give the ID to, let's say, this unordered list tag, and if I try to grab it, okay, let's say I'm grabbing it over here. Can you see this? I'll be grabbing ul read. Okay, let me create a new variable ul read, which will select okay, it will select get element by ID. Okay, and I'll be using read actually this time instead of the query selectors and all. Now what it will do, it will grab it and unordered list that I have said this. Okay, so as you asked, what I'm going to change is, instead of appending it to the previous list structure, I'm going to append it to the new list structure. Okay, and this another simple task is, so wherever I'm giving the click event, create event list item, create list element, I'm going to replace it with the second function. Okay, so just like you asked, you wanted to add list items inside read atomic habits, right? So if I put let's say read chapter 10 for example, okay, I press enter. So can you see this? This is how we add it. Read chapter 11. Did you get it in this? So this is how we can kind of do this. Is this what you wanted, or anything else particular?
Yes, bro. Yeah.
So let's say as you can see, this is kind of looking not so logical. Let me do one thing. Let me put this read atomic habits element, right? Let me put it above, okay, so that when I'm putting it above it, it will kind of look like whatever I'm hiding, it is going in. Okay. Okay. Now if I put chapter 10, read chapter 10. Okay. For example, chapter 10. If I press enter, can you see this?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is how we change it. That's it. Small changes. As you can see, instead of grabbing the first unordered list, I have created two unordered lists now. One is over here, one is over here, right? I have kind of added another one like a small branch inside itself, and only changes this part, right? Only we are changing the functions, how it should actually append, and where we are appending it, and then how we are grabbing it. That's it. So this is how we can create a basic to-do just with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? So how was this? Easy, hard?
No, it's easy. But then, bro, you have added the link of CSS, but you have not done anything else.
Yeah. So I was about to show you one more thing as well. Actually, you can change properties as well. Okay, let me show it to you. So one more thing. I have added. Actually, that's good that you noticed the style sheet. I have actually added a specific style I have in mind. Okay. So just a second, I'll share the screen again. So if you want to kind of add any if you want to, let's say, add anything that is related to styling and all, so if you guys can recall what you have learned in CSS. In CSS, what we do, we kind of create classes and ID and all inside the HTML so that we can manipulate, right? Or we can directly put styles using class also. Okay. So what I've done let me share the entire window itself. So inside my style sheet, let me share it. So as you can see, yeah, just a second. Yeah. So as you can see, this line, I have added a style sheet, and style sheet that I got from a project. Okay. So this what it will kind of give you a 3D effect to the title that we want. Let's say I want this to be added to any of this text. It will kind of change the text itself. Okay. So let me do it in the console itself so that you can clearly see the code as well as this one. So I'm selecting the DOM. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to query selector. I'm going to use query selector, which is kind of intuitive as well, good practice. Okay, and I'm grabbing the h1 tag. Okay, let me grab the h1 tag. Okay, so this will give me the h1 tag, right? So let's say I want to add this CSS. In this CSS, as you can see, I have added a style which will kind of change the text itself. Okay, this is this part over here, cool title. This is what it will do. Okay, this first style, let me try to add it and show it to you how kind of nice it is. Okay, so that is a class, right? So this cool title is a class because I have added a dot in front of it. In CSS, if you put something, a dot inside before a property, it is a title, right? So I can add styles, these classes on all inside the HTML class, inside the HTML as the class attribute using class list. Okay, class list is another function in which is another property actually in which you can add or remove or something like that. Okay, so if I do this class list dot add, so this is how you can actually put CSS elements at all. If I put cool title, okay, if I put cool title, what it will do, it will apply the styling right in front of you. Okay, can you see this?
Yeah.
It is nice, right? So this is how actually you can change the styling also. I was about to show this, but I think I forgot when I was doing the other tutorials. Okay, so this is how we do this. Okay, so let's say I want to remove this. Okay, what I tell you, it is simple task. Another simple task. I will give the, instead of add, I will be removing it. Okay, if I give remove, it will remove it. Simple as that. If you want, you can add it. If you want, you can remove it. Okay, this is how you can manipulate it, right? As simple as that. Can you see this? I'm keeping on changing and removing over here. You can do this for every element. Okay, let me add it for let's say any list item. So Nitish, if you in this other HTML tags, which one you want to change? Tell me, give me anything. I have this 4 list items, right? Just choose something. I'll kind of try to change it as well.
You can do the second one.
Second one, okay.
Yeah.
So to select second one, what we can do? Okay, so do you remember I told you whenever we have multiple same elements, we have to use all, right? We have to use all, and we can select only the particular one. You said solve DSL, right? The second one. So in order to apply this to this, what it will do, this all query selector all, it will return me an array, right? It will return me an array, and all of these list items will be indexed properly. So it will be, this first one will be actually 0 index. Second one that you have asked will be index 1. Okay, so in what I will do, I will just add one more document, bracket notation, and I'll put 1. Okay, and inside this query selector all, I'll put li, which is list item, right? So we try to do this. Can you see this?
Yeah. Wow.
This is how simple, like we can change DOM elements and all. Anything that is present in the screen, I can change it to you. Let's say I want to kind of do this for the third element, which will be index 2, right? See, it is actually keep on adding it as well. If I do it for the first, which was, let's say, complete a course, it is getting bigger and bigger, as you can see. So if we want to remove this, again it is as simple as changing this add. Instead of add, I'll be removing it. Okay, that's it. As you can see, it is changed back. If I do this for the first one, it is changed back to the position. It will same for the third one as well. That's it. So this is how we can add properties as well. Okay, so let me show you another example. I have added another class actually. In a to-do list, what will be crossing of the task we have already done, right? So what I did was I have added text decoration as line through over here, which will actually put a line in front of the task I have completed in a to-do list, like in a general to-do list. Okay, so let me refresh it. Let me use whatever I have added over here as, right? So let's say I have completed a course. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the class done. So what will happen, if you can watch closely, it is kind of cut in the middle. Can you see that? So
Yes, bro.
yeah, so this is how we can kind of do this for every other element as well. Done. If I do done for 3 last one, this how I can do it. Okay, and let's say, so each time if I do the add and remove, it is kind of tedious, right? So instead of this, what you can do, you can do use one property called toggle. Okay, toggle is nothing but, let's say whenever you are switching, you are using a switch anything, you'll keep on turning it on and off, right? So that action is called toggle. Okay, so if I want to toggle the first one, okay, complete a course, as you can see, it is returning false as well, and the complete a course is again come back to this original, this one. If I try to toggle again, it will cut it. If I try to toggle again, it will uncut it, kind of this. Okay, let me do it again so that it is visible. So for the first one, if I keep on doing this, it will change it again and again. So this will become very easy, right? Whenever we are using JavaScript logic and all, we can use toggle instead of add or remove, so that it is kind of more friendly. Okay, so this is why I have added the style sheet actually. So I'll be sharing this code files with you guys. Okay, I'll be kind of adding it to the chapter page actually. Let me show you the chapter page. Those of you previously, as even in the previous event, I have added all of the links and all neatly in the chapter landing page. So this was the first. So till now, anyone have any doubts? I think Nitish, you enjoyed it pretty well, I guess. Project.
Yeah, bro. Previously I have also created one project
Okay.
of background selector,
Oh,
like
that's great.
color picker.
Color picker.
Yeah, and there also I have manipulated the DOM.
DOM also. I'll be showing that project as well. I'll be showing it to you live and just explaining the code and all live. That was this. Actually, we cannot do both more than one project within this time frame. That's why I'll be showing you the project, the background generator as well. So yeah, that's great. Actually, this is the first project that we
And
did.
bro, how this DOM is manipulated, like how does it contribute to the large scale, like in the large scale companies, how it is manipulated?
You mean the Google Chrome browser or the general? You're talking about DOM manipulation.
Just the DOM manipulation.
Okay. So that's a good question. Okay. So did you say that how tedious it was, right? For each and everything you are typing it by hand, right? We are grabbing it, we are
Yeah.
we are adding it. So for this reason only, we have something called what libraries and frameworks. Okay. Can you understand? This is why we have React, we have Angular, we have Vue, we have all these front end libraries, right? Frameworks and all. This is the reason, because as you can see, it was very much even for this basic project, I was adding a lot of code and all, right? Each and every code was visible to us. That is great. If you, for example, like if you want to do each and every step by your own, by writing a lot of code, you can do this. But just like you asked, for big companies, for Google, Amazon, Facebook and all, web page and all uses a lot of DOM manipulation, right? It is showing you real time.
Yeah.
If you keep on coding it, you'll become very tired with the coding part and all, right? So this is why what we have is a solution is nothing but we use a framework or library like React.js. So what it will do, React.js and all, it have its own DOM itself. What it will do, it will have a virtual DOM in React and all, and whatever we write code and all, it will be very much small compared to what we are doing with pure vanilla JavaScript. So whatever you are writing code as of now, what we did was, it is called vanilla JavaScript. Okay, vanilla JavaScript is nothing but pure HTML, pure CSS, pure JavaScript without any framework or library. In vanilla JavaScript, it will become very much tedious if you are doing everything with every single line with hand itself. Okay, so that's why we have frameworks and libraries and all. So this is so when you try to learn it this way, This is how you will understand how libraries are useful. Why do we even have libraries in the first place? This is the reason. Okay, cool. Let me show the background generator project as well. It is a very good project that I actually did through a coursework. Okay, so let me share the screen. Okay, cool. So I hope the screen.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, cool. So this is another project that I built just with the concepts that we learned till now. Okay, so the code, just a second. So basically what this project does, you can kind of create a linear background. Okay, as you can see there are two colors in the web page, right? So this is called linear gradient. So if I pick any color over here, as you can see, if I, let's say I pick a blue color at the right hand side, and let's say I want an yellowish color on the left hand side, you can choose it dynamically. You can choose it kind of dynamically. And what I've given is I have also have this CSS style line. This code I have outputted as well. So if it will actually change, if I to kind of change the color, this will also change. As you can see, it will change. So whatever as a gradient that you are picking it, you can copy this and use your own code. So this is what this project does basically. Okay, let me show code as well so that you guys can kind of get to know about this. So before we move on, so let me put the chapter landing page. So this is our Codecademy University JU Chapter web page. I have also shared it in the chat box. So any new events you can check it over here. Okay, so previously, as you can see, I have covered the basics, right? So this is the format I'll be sharing the code and all like in this previous event. I've also what I've did, I have recording, I've shared the presentation and the code files, whatever I can post it online. I will publish it in the GitHub. I will share the links as well. Every link will be available in this web page. So if you can save this web page, you can kind of access each and every event's details and all neatly. Okay, so I'll be posting this file shortly as well. Okay, you guys can check it out later. So those of you who are kind of new to this place and you are not able to code it live, you can check it out. And we also have Discord community. So those who are not yet joined, I highly recommend you guys please join this Discord community, because you can it is an environment where you can chat with me as well, chat with any other students. In WhatsApp, what is the drawback is if I try to give you guys the access to chat and all, most of the other students will be annoyed with the repeated messages and they may leave the group as well. So in order to avoid that, what I've did, I a Discord server so that you guys can kind of join it and access all of the recordings and files. I'll be also sharing extra materials in the Discord community, so you can do it shortly. My internet is slow, sorry, just I hope you don't mind, just a second. Okay, so this is the project. So basically what it does is whatever I'm changing this colors, right? So whenever I choose a color, this is another event only, another document, and for each color that I press, it is dynamically changing in the background. I did it with the to-do list. It is kind of doing the same over here. And again, this will also, whenever I refresh it, it won't save it in the save, it will actually refresh to the previous yellowish and orange background, because I'm using a server over here. Only it is for only purely a front-end project, only using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So each time, if you it is only a static, having the colors and all. The changes made will go away soon. So you want the changes to be permanent, that's when you will be using backend and database and all. Okay. Cool. Okay. So I think the code is ready. So till now, do others have any doubts? I can see around there are 8 more members other than Nitish. Okay. You can use the chat box if you cannot use the mic as well. Any suggestions? How was the event? Any queries that you have, you can ask now. Now will be the right time. Okay. So,
It was great, bro.
Good, sir.
okay, cool. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Okay, so having 2 other new events as well this month. Okay, I'll be trying to kind of teach you JavaScript before even before using React and frameworks like that. So whatever you can do with JavaScript, it is important to you guys learn this, because as Nitish also asked, right, you are really interested about how are companies even coding this much, right? They are actually not using it. That's the reason why they're not using it. So in order to understand this reason, if you guys can learn this basics and all, right, it will be very helpful for you as well, right? So whenever you are using let's say whenever you learn this JavaScript basics and all, DOM manipulation, and after that when you learn a framework, that's when you will understand whatever is happening behind the screen. So even without looking the internal working and all, you will actually understand it conceptually. Okay, this is what happening in this particular code part. Okay, that's the idea as well. Okay, so I'll be also teaching you the new features that we have in JavaScript. Okay, there are a lot of new features, and we call that new features are ECMAScript. Okay, ES 7, ES 6, ES 5 and all. So these new features, what they do, they kind of give the features that are present in other programming languages as well. For example, Java, Python, and C++, even C++. The new concepts like functional programming, using lambda expressions, using the other data structures as well, right? So all of these new features that's come out of JavaScript, we call that as a standard. Okay, so that every other browser will render it properly in the same way. Okay, so that is known as ECMAScript. So the next Sunday, what I'll be doing is I'll be teaching you guys more in detail how these new features can be used in JavaScript. Okay, so it will be like another programming concept session, so you can attend that later. I'm also going to teach Git and GitHub this week, most probably by the end of this week. Yeah, Saturday I'll be teaching Git and GitHub, and Sunday I'll be having another event on roadmap as well. And if my schedule is clear, I will also conduct a fourth part in this JavaScript roadmap, which will actually cover the advanced concepts and all. Okay, so there are concepts like let's say functional programming. This is and all it's a paradigm. You can use it in JavaScript. There's actually closures, hoisting. There's actually a lot of concept that you may not even heard about how the engine and all actually works. There's a Google Chrome engine that you are using. Google Chrome browser is there, right? Actually behind the screen, how JavaScript is kind of changed into machine code and all. There are some advanced concepts as well. I'll be, if possible, covering that this month itself. Okay, code is still loading. Okay, let me find it in my laptop. Give me just a few minutes. I'll show you the for this background generator project as well, so that you can kind of understand what is happening in this project as well. Okay, so same thing, using DOM selectors for grabbing the elements, grabbing the style properties, as well as the adding new elements as well. So yeah, cool.
We'll also use the database for this.
No, we won't be using it. That's why what I was trying to say was, like, if you want to save something, only then you can approach using a database. Like my idea was that these projects and all is purely front end only, right? So whenever you refresh it, it will go away. If you want to if you want to kind of save it, that's when we use database. That's why I use that one actually. And yeah, so moving on, I can even cover about React.js and databases as well in this chapter. It will take some time actually, so maybe by the end of the year we can kind of learn about JS and all, just backend language for server and possible SQL. We'll get there. And yeah,
And bro, which is the framework? Which framework has high demand now?
High demand.
That has more hype.
Yeah, it's actually React.js, which was open source by Facebook actually. It is high in demand because because of Facebook platform only. Because as I think the first time on I don't know if a lot of guys are using Facebook right now. Maybe you will be using Instagram or any other, or even WhatsApp is part of Facebook, right? So whatever they are using behind the screen, it is React.js only. Anything that you see on Facebook web page, right? Web page, mobile app, even in mobile, they are using React Native. Okay, so it is kind of similar only. If you try to learn React, you can quickly learn about React Native, which will be very similar. You can quickly build apps also using kind of the same concepts. That's what I'm trying to tell. That's why it is high in demand as well, React.js. And that's also another reason. So
and is that Node.js different from it or what?
Node.js?
Node.js, is it also the framework of the React or what?
Node.js is actually it's supposed to be for creating servers in the backend. Okay, although we don't use the word framework. Okay, even for React you don't use the word framework because React is actually a library. Okay, there's a couple of reasons why we call it a library. And if we actually, there's frameworks on top of React which is called Next.js, Gatsby. Those are frameworks. Okay, and there's another framework called, you might have heard about it, it is created by Google. So that is a framework, but React is okay, there's a couple of reasons why, because of this implementation only, nothing pretty much complex and all. Node.js, I'm coming back to the topic. Node.js actually, it is actually using the V8 engine, the Chrome browser that we use till now, right? However, it was actually showing the HTML, CSS and JavaScript in the browser and all. It actually uses a engine called V8 engine. Okay, this is similar to what we have in compilers and interpreters and all for Python and Java and all. We have something in the backend, right? Like JVM, for example, in the Java. Similarly, for JavaScript, we have V8 engine. Okay, so the creator of Node, what he did, Node.js, he used this V8 engine. It was actually open source by Google. He used it for creating servers and all. So he took the code and he converted it into a platform. So it is like more of a platform rather than a framework. Okay, so like a
platform dependent or?
So it is platform independent only. Okay, similar to kind of Java, how Java works. It is called as a runtime environment. Okay, just how browser is actually showing up the web pages and all. Node.js is a runtime, And just like how we have some difficulties with writing a lot of JavaScript, right? Like pure JavaScript and all. Similarly, for Node.js is also the same thing only. For that reason, we have a framework on top of Node.js which is called Express.js. So this is why you might have heard about the text stacks and all, MERN stack, mean stack. So in that it will be MongoDB, Express, React, and Node. So this Express is actually used behind in the servers along with Node.js. So yeah, Node.js and Express.js are used together in this in the server side to write server code using JavaScript. So that's why JavaScript is actually very popular right now. With JavaScript itself, we can build a mobile app, desktops, front end, back end, anything. Okay, so I hope the screen is visible.
Yeah, bro, it is.
Cool. So this is actually the code for the back. So nothing too complex. What I've did is I have created two input elements, and it is of type color. Okay, so if whenever you give the color and all, so we will be able to choose colors in the web page and all. So that's the reason, and I've given a value by default. That's why whenever we refresh, it will always go back to this particular value. Okay, I have given the form over here which has the text area. That's where the output, the CSS styling played in the background will be displayed, so that we can copy, developers can put it in their style sheet. Okay, so let me show the script file. Very simple, just 19 lines of code only. So basically what I'm doing is the element which is having ID box. This hashtag is nothing but ID, right? So this is actually the text area to display the CSS styling. The first line text area, and the next two line grabs the inputs for colors that we use, right? And the third is body actually. Okay, this body is nothing the entire background. So what I did was, if you guys can remember HTML concepts and all, whatever is given in this body only, that will be displayed in the web page, right? In the head part will have only the metadata, like title, page of the title, and other links as well. In the body only will be seeing the changes, right? So what I did, I added ID for the itself called gradient, and I'll be changing this gradient using the user input colors, right? So that's why I'm grabbing that as well. So in total I'm grabbing 4 HTML elements, and what I'm doing is in the bottom adding 2 event listeners which will set the gradient, whatever gradient is chosen by user, right? So that's what I've given in this function. So just by declaring function we cannot add anything, right? We have to add an event listener. So here the event listener is nothing but the input itself. Whatever the user clicks for the color wheel and all, that will be set, and you are using this function to set it. Simple. Okay, so how I am setting it is nothing. I am accessing the body and I am adding the styling to itself. Okay, so if you guys can remember again the HTML, we can add style like this as well, right? You can add style like this and do the CSS code inside the style itself, right? So that's how we are adding the style directly in the HTML elements only. We are injecting this style, whatever the user given us, using this body.style.background, and what I'm adding is nothing but a linear gradient, right? So if you, if I reshare it, just a second, I'll share both the screen as well as the event as well.